Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. And yes, it's your weekly dose of mad manners. A couple of bits of taking care of business to get things going at the top. Firstly, apologies. There was no Mad Manners solo episode last week, but this is the first summer I've done Mad Manners weekly solo episodes, and I sort of figured Manners Masterclass, Cricket Unfiltered, Mad Manners might be a bit too much in one week, especially when haven't really started the cricket season yet. So I just thought I'd let that Brad Hodge interview air a little, and also my episode with Daniel and Damien from last week. And before we get into all the Mad Menace topics for the day, if you want ad-free versions of Cricket Unfiltered, please head to our Patreon page, and you can subscribe there. And it just costs a small amount, and then you get ad-free versions of all the shows. This Mad Manners is being recorded live. That's right, live. So I'm streaming it on Twitter and on YouTube. And the topic for today is what will happen if Australia loses the Test series this summer to India? Yes, because I believe that if Australia loses this Test series, it's going to have massive implications on the future of Australian cricket, and especially next summer's Ashes series. I do want to say I had a couple of contenders for topics to talk about in this Mad Manners. I was thinking about doing a whole episode on Brendan McCullum being interviewed by Michael Atherton about Jimmy Anderson missing the beginning of the Pakistan Test series. So England have gone to Pakistan to play over there, but Jimmy Anderson, although he's the bowling coach, he's decided to stay in England and play at the Dunhill Invitational Golf Tournament. So he may just be arriving in Pakistan as we speak. And Atherton absolutely grilled McCullum. And I've got to say, McCullum had no good answers as usual. But I've laid into the Poms enough. I will say that McCullum said if Jimmy Anderson was home with his family and taking time off to be with them, we wouldn't be criticizing him for not being there at the beginning of the Test series. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, because staying home with your family is different to going fucking swanning around and playing golf when you should be coaching your team. And this is just the whole England attitude, isn't it? Just swan in and out, and, let the players play golf, do whatever. But yes, it almost bit England in the backside, because Pakistan got off to a great start in the first innings there, and they could have done with Anderson's experience in the sheds to say to them what to do out in the middle. And I will say one thing, and I'm going to get into my topic, but I'm just going to lay into McCullum for 30 seconds. I think it's a fucking stupid thing to do, to try and compare people taking time off for whether it's mental health or exhaustion or to spend time with their families, and comparing that to golf. It's not the same thing, and you're an idiot for saying that. People need different things to stimulate their mental health. I get that. But don't try and compare someone spending time with their family to Jimmy Anderson swanning around with a bunch of stars playing golf at the Dunhill Invitational. Anyway, who cares about England? Stuff England. Fuck them. All right, let's get into what will happen if Australia loses to India this summer. India coming for a 5-test series. And Australia hasn't beaten India in a test series since 2014-15. So it'll be almost 10 years. That was when they were last here. So if India wins this summer, they won back the Border-Gavaskar trophy in 2017. If they win this summer, they will hold the Border-Gavaskar trophy for 10 years by the time we play them again. 10 years. So my first point on this summer: if Australia loses the Test series to India this summer, then I think we'll lose the Ashes next year. And I think that because if we lose this summer, then things have gone wrong, and the team basically needs to be reinvented. There will need to be a clean out. Obviously, a lot of players are getting older, and therefore, if we lose this summer, that means next summer against England, we'll be in a rebuilding phase. So we'll be in a rebuilding phase in basically the biggest series we play in, our home Ashes. And that never goes well. And if you look back to 2010-11, when Australia last lost the Ashes at home, wasn't quite a rebuilding phase, but it was a transitional phase, and players were starting to age out of that team. So, as I said, I think if Australia loses this series to India, then we will lose the Ashes next year. But that doesn't mean if we win this summer against India, we will win the Ashes next year. I think they're two different things, but I believe if the wheels fall off Australian cricket this summer, there's going to be so many holes to fill for next summer. I think England will come and win the Ashes. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's just the way I believe it'll go, because there's spots that will need to be filled. Already, we don't have an opening batter. We might have two gone by the end of summer. So this series against India is so important. It is such almost an era-defining series for this team. And in fact, the next two summers are era-defining for Pat Cummins' captaincy. Because I guarantee if we lose this summer, we lose next summer, he's getting sacked. I don't care how beautiful his eyes are, he's out the door. So this next two summers will determine the legacy of this team. Sure, they won the 50-over World Cup, different format. They won the World Test Championship, but they haven't beaten India the last two series. The Ashes, they scraped to a 2-all series draw in England last year when they should have won 5-0. So this has the potential to either leave this team can leave such a big legacy. If it can win the Border-Gavaskar trophy back and then defend the Ashes the summer after, it will be an enormous achievement. But I'm very concerned that if things start to go wrong this summer, there just won't be enough time to get our test side together for next summer. The other thing is, obviously, if we lose this test series to India, our World Test Championship defence will be in tatters. And you can almost rule out Australia making the World Test Championship final if India wins here, because we go to Sri Lanka for 2 tests after this. Sri Lanka is going to serve us up the biggest spinning wickets we've ever seen. We'll be lucky to get a win there. We'll probably lose 2-0. We'll be lucky to walk away with the 1-all series draw. So this series is crucial if Australia wants to try and get back to the World Test Championship final. For the first time ever, it's going to be played in Lords. So there's a huge carrot for Australia. And yeah, they just have to perform well against India to basically secure a spot in the World Test Championship final, because Sri Lanka is going to be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And I don't care if we take Maxwell or whichever spinners we take. You can see the way Sri Lanka is playing at home. They've got it together. So basically what I'm saying is, we lose this summer, we could lose the Ashes, and World Test Championship finals completely gone. I also think there'll be certain spots that will be under the microscope if we don't perform well. So firstly, Khawaja will be gone if he doesn't perform well this summer. So going into a home Ashes, we could be looking for 2 openers. Mitch Marsh, he had a great year when he came back into the side in 2023, but his form is slowly tapering off. He's not bowling. He's got younger all-rounders and younger batters nipping at his heels to get in the side. So I think he's a player that could be gone for next summer. Alex Carey, who's done so well with the bat and with the gloves, 98 not out in his last test innings. But Inglis is the X factor. And if Carey struggles through this home summer, it will not be good enough. I'm telling you, it is all on the line against India. This is a massive series. So Khawaja could be gone, Marsh could be gone, Carey could be gone. So that's 3 of the top 7 will need replacing for next summer. Then there's the Cameron Green debate. If he's got a back problem, how long is that going to keep him out of the game? He might not be bowling again till next summer. Think about that. Cameron Green might not be bowling till the beginning of next summer. A lot of these stress fractures can take you out of the game for a year. And then there's the fast bowlers. And this is, again, where Australia could be caught short. Stark may age out this summer. If the Indian batters get hold of him, I understand Stark wants to play his 100 tests and he wants to get to next summer against England. But if he goes the journey against India, he'll be moved on for sure. Absolute for sure. So then you got Stark could be gone. Hazelwood, I've got a lot of faith in Hazelwood because of his action and the way he bowls. I just don't think he'll fall off a cliff. Like I think Stark could just lose a few yards of pace and he's gone. Even though I hope he doesn't. God, I hope he doesn't. But Hazelwood, I have faith that he will do well. But he's in the age bracket again. Injury, poor form. Maybe Australia starts to look at younger, quicker bowlers for the Ashes. You know, a Jai Richardson, a Lance Morris. Maybe Australia looks to say to England, okay, well, you want to play baseball, try hitting balls that are coming at your head at 150 kilometers an hour, see how you go. So, you know, if we struggle against India, then we could have half the team gone. And that is not what you want ahead of an Ashes series. I'm sorry, but I just, if we stuff up against India, it is going to be a clusterfuck. Excuse my French, but George Bailey and the selectors are going to be looking at each other going, what the hell should we do? I think the selectors doing a pretty good job. And, you know, I'm sort of happy with the team. And I hope they perform well and do really well this summer against India. But I guess, you know, they say when you're depressed, you think about death a lot. Maybe, and I'm not depressed, but, you know, I've been thinking a lot about what would happen if Australia lose. And, you know, I'm really concerned because I want us to smash England next year. I'm sorry, I want us to humiliate them again. I want them to come here and get towed up 5-0 and head home with their tail between their legs, with Stokes and Baz crying in each other's arms as they walk away humiliated. But at this stage, I'm not backing that to happen. I mean, I almost did a Mad Minutes today where I said if I was picking a favourite for the Ashes now, I'd pick England. And I almost am leaning towards that. I think they've got a clear idea of the way they want to play. I think Australia's just not quite sure the way they want to, what identity they want as a team, and they're sort of in that transitional period. And then, as I said, you know, if Australia loses this summer, and it depends how badly we lose, but if we lose badly, then I think you really have to look at Pat Cummins' captaincy. He has been a good leader off the field. He's been a steady captain on the field, but he's not tactically brilliant. He has shown a lack of imagination. Like, let's look at the Ashes last year. For some reason, Australia just took the same tactic into the last 3 test matches. There wasn't much adjustments made. You look at the way the Indian tour started in 2023, just a series of poor decisions on and off the field. Cummins is a great leader off the field. He's brought together a very good environment, but tactically, he still has a lot to prove. And this summer is about proving it. It's about the legacy that he leaves for Australian cricket. If he can win back the Border-Gavaskar trophy, then I think we'll go into next summer in a pretty good state. But as I said, I think in a lot of ways, this is an era-defining series for Australian cricket, for Pat Cummins. And, I mean, I said, it's just, I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous with there being so many uncertainties around the Australian side and the age of the Australian side. And actually, you can see, sorry to interrupt listeners, but I'm recording this live. There's a few questions in the chat, so I will get to those questions. If you want to put them in there, I will get to them before we end. But, you know, I just feel that with, you know, our 2 biggest test series, bang, bang, you know, this summer and then the summer after, with the World Test Championship final in the middle, with a team where you've got a lot of mid-30s players, that says to me trouble. Should the selectors have been a bit more aggressive and got some younger players in there? Maybe in hindsight they should have. Maybe as good as Mitch Marsh is, maybe he was the wrong person to bring back in the team. Maybe you want to bring back a younger player. But as I've said before in many podcasts, you just never know when a player is going to age out. In 2010-11, that team aged out. Remember, that was when Ponting got sacked as skipper. remember in 2015, that was a great Australian cricket side that went to the Ashes in 2015, but they just fell apart, and mainly an age thing. Harris retired, Haddon retired, Watson retired. So basically, I'm basically putting it all on this summer. If Australia does well against India and wins the Border-Gavaskar trophy back, I'll feel a lot better about the future of Australian cricket. If we lose to India again for 3 series in a row, then I'm worried that Australia will be plunged into a couple of years of really average results. And, I sort of think of eras after 06, 07, when Warren, McGrath and Langer retired. There was a few years there where it was really tough for Australia. There was also, after that 2010-11 series, took a long time for the team to get back to winning ways. So I think we could be in that mode now. And yeah, it's scary because, we could have a whole new team next summer, and that will just play right into Baz and Stokes. I mean, if they come out here and we've got 3 or 4 players who aren't experienced or proven at test level, they will love that. So I'm going to get into sort of the real nuances of the Border-Gavaskar trophy and see who I think will win or lose. I think it's going to be a close series, but I think there's a lot more at stake here for Australian cricket. A lot more at stake for Australia than there is for India. India are the undisputed champs of the world at the moment. Australia can claim to be world test champions, and we are, but India are a better test side. They have a better record. They've won more at home. They've won more away. They're just a better team at the moment. And I don't think they've got anything to prove. I think if India comes here and performs admirably, but they get beaten, I don't think anyone will hold it against them because they've won their last 2 series here. But for Australia, it's all on the line. In 2 years, I could be here pissing and moaning because we don't have the Border-Gavaskar trophy. We've lost the World Test Championship, and the Ashes are back in England's hands after we lost for the first time since 2010-11. Don't forget, England haven't won a fucking test here since 10-11. They haven't won a test, idiots. So that's what's at stake. That is what is at stake. All right, so we're going to wrap this Mad Menace up. But I've got a couple of questions here. Brewer74, who gets the captaincy if Cummins is removed? And then he puts Head ? I would think Head would be the early favourite for sure. He's one of the only players with an assured spot in the team. Also, don't sleep on Marnus Labuschagne. He's now Queensland captain. So he is certainly in the running. And again, I think he'd be a great captain because he's so passionate. He's an upstanding member of society. He's got very strong moral compass. So, yeah, I think Head and Marnus are probably your 2 favourites to take over if Cummins were to get the arse. All right. And let me just see if we've got any more questions here. No, that is it from the chat. Look, I want to thank everybody for tuning into this live edition of Mad Menace. I am going to be back I'm recording a new episode on Wednesday night with Damien and Daniel. So we'll be going through all the cricket news, lots to talk about. A young batter has announced himself in the Sheffield Shield today. So I can't wait to get into that one. Also, if you want some more content, I was on the Armchair Cricket podcast and I was with Ajit there and he asked me about all these games I hadn't watched. So it was interesting. I fumbled my way through it. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning into Mad Menace. Thanks to those who've watched it live. And I will be back soon with a new episode of Cricket Unfiltered. But I guess what I'm saying is if Australia loses the Border-Gavaskar trophy, you might as well give the Ashes to the Poms right now.